A2 Hosting is gone. So what happened exactly? Well, A2 Hosting was founded in 2001, but 24 years later, if you visit a2hosting.com, you would instead land on hosting.com. And it's not just a rebrand dropping the A2. To understand what happened here, we'll need to go back to 2018. A guy named Seb started 3 web hosting companies: Upmind, StablePoint, and Verpex, all within 2 years. These companies don't really make many waves in the industry, but they do okay for several years, gaining around 80,000 sites hosted and having roughly 30 employees up until 2023. At this point, A2 Hosting is bigger than all 3 of these companies combined, hosting like 1 million websites alone. But in 2023, everything changes. The 3 companies Seb founded get acquired by Oakley Capital, and they get merged into a company called World Host Group, backed by massive capital. And I'm talking big money, like $1 billion big. That's with a B. With this merger, 2 titans of the web hosting industry are introduced into the company as co-investors: Tom and Johan. Why are they important? No big deal, they just started their first hosting company when they were 15 in their bedroom, and they were also the guys who built Intergenia and sold it to GoDaddy for basically a 2.5 times profit on their initial investment in 2011. But probably their greatest hit is through 2016 to 2019, they bought Plesk and cPanel, combining them into WebPros, creating a 96% monopoly on the control panel market. Soon after the acquisition, they increased prices by over 1,000% and kept increasing them every single year after that. Well, would you imagine that? Once they were done shafting their customers, they finally sold the monopoly for $2 billion, making over 6.7 times their investment. And cPanel is still increasing their prices to this day, because it's a freaking monopoly. So in 2023, we have Oakley Capital as the bank, providing basically unlimited money, Seb as the CEO who managed 3 web hosting products before, and Tom together with Johan as the geniuses of monopolization, all sitting in the same boat, the World Hosting Group. Acquisitions started happening. In 2024, they added 330,000 more customers to their portfolio. They went from 80,000 sites to 1 million. In 2025, acquisitions speed up, adding another 500,000 customers with over 2 million more websites. In total, from 2023 to 2025, they bought 11 companies. On average, that's 1 acquisition every 2 months. And one of those 11 companies that got added to the World Host Group was A2 Hosting, bringing over 2 million websites into the pot on January 2025. Currently, World Hosting Group has over 30 brands under it with upwards of 800 employees, and the chief product officer for hosting.com is Ben Gabler, the CEO of Rocket.net, another web hosting company. And remember Tom together with Johan? Yeah, they bought 31% of Hostinger, another web hosting company, in 2021. Holy monopoly, Batman, it's all basically one company. I think all of hosting is becoming one company. This is not organic growth. This is a systematic consolidation funded by private equity with big money, and I mean big. So what actually changed for A2 Hosting customers? Because I've been using their services for years. I have the historical data to compare how it was and how it is now. First up, let's check the prices. In 2023, you would pay $2.99 for Startup, $5.99 for Drive, $6.99 for Turbo, and $14.99 for Turbo Max. And of course, when it was time to renew, it did get quite expensive. A2 Hosting was not a cheap web hosting company, but it was a good one. Now with hosting.com, you actually pay less? $199 for Starter, $199 for Plus, $699 for Pro, and $899 for Max? With renewal prices being identical, even a tiny bit cheaper for the Max plan. Okay, maybe it's not an apples to apples comparison. Maybe the performance has degraded. That's why it's cheaper. Let's do some tests before I make any conclusions here. Since I still have the Legacy Turbo Boost plan active on my account, I just purchased the new Pro plan, which should be identical or the equivalent of the Legacy plan. I loaded the exact same test website onto both plans, an e-commerce store with plenty of products, pictures, content, and both site uses the A2 Hosting Optimizer plugin together with Lightspeed Cache and Redis enabled and no CDN on both websites. My Legacy Turbo Boost plan, as awesome as ever. I see no degradation in performance, 111 milliseconds response time with the website fully loading in 0.35 seconds. And my new Pro plan seems just as good, 75 milliseconds response time and 0.38 seconds fully load time. Honestly, I was not expecting that. I was expecting to trash on this change. But so far, it's cheaper and it's at least as fast. And I know for sure that these Pro plan hosting servers are new. Before, A2 Hosting only had 4 server locations: Michigan, Arizona, Amsterdam, and Singapore. So my Turbo Boost plan is hosted in Michigan, US. And when I was purchasing the Pro plan, I chose one of the new locations, London, that simply did not exist before. So this is completely new infrastructure in a completely new data center. But this is testing with one user only. The website is basically stress-free. In no real-world scenario would your website only have one user on it at a time. So let's send some bots to the site to see how it acts under load. For this, I'm using loader.io and I'll be sending 500 bots for 5 minutes. All of them will open the homepage, click on products, then click the t-shirt, add it to the cart and open the search to type in cap. Let's see how these plans handle a sudden influx of pretty demanding traffic. The Legacy Turbo Boost wasn't able to handle it. Once it reached 450 users on my website, over 50% of them were seeing errors and new users were just reaching an error page altogether. The new Pro plan actually did better. It completed the test with only 33% error rate. Yes, the website was loading in like 20 seconds, abysmally slow at the end, but it didn't crash. And just to be fair, 500 users at the same time are way above what these plans should have been able to handle. These are insane concurrent user numbers, putting both of these servers to their absolute maximum limits. As for the pricing, the starter plan costs $24 for 1 year. That's honestly very cheap, but the renewal is $144, so the total price for 2 years is $168. But if we compare to providers like Hostinger, the price for 2 years is $179, HemiCloud is $221, Scala Hosting is $179, and WebHostMost is $102. These are all providers that I highly recommend and use myself, and Hosting.com is actually priced fairly cheap. I can confidently say that at least at the time of making this review, A2 Hosting or Hosting.com is both cheaper, faster, and more stable than it used to be. But that's not true for all of their products because their managed WordPress is now handled by Rocket.net.
No, not that one, no!
And I have a separate review on Rocket.net right here. To summarize, I do not like Rocket.net. Merging 2 different web hosting companies on top of an acquisition is never a good idea in my opinion, and these cracks really do show. The Rocket.net plans cost $30 a month, so exactly the same as they do on Rocket.net, and double of the native Hosting.com plans. And I did the exact same tests, they were 5 times slower. And in my stress test scenario, they couldn't handle 10 users, let alone 500. They just crashed straight up, showing an error page for most of the users. And from their marketing, it seems like these are the best plans they have. So why are they so much worse? Well, I decided to ask the support because at that point, I honestly have no idea why they were so bad. It is a managed service after all, so I figured I'll let them manage it for me. Let that $30 a month go to work. It looks like I finally got a response saying that I should try to deactivate WP Rocket. Keep in mind that WP Rocket is advertised on the homepage as one of the perks of this plan. You even get a banner saying install this. So the support staff saying it's causing issues, I'm not buying it, man. But I did it. I did what the support agent said. Goodbye, best WordPress performance plugin. I redid all of my tests and yeah, there was absolutely no difference. So hosting.com managed to create a very unique scenario where their more expensive plans are actually worse than their cheaper ones. And if this is due to my mistake, due to my misconfiguration, the support basically said nothing. This is a managed plan. What else am I supposed to do? The testing parameters are identical for all three sites, and the support staff confirmed that there's literally nothing else that can be done. Since I don't have a control panel like I would with a regular web hosting plan, I can't tweak anything here. I'm forced to take the L with a more expensive and slower and less stable site if I purchase the managed WordPress option. Yes, it does have a great TTFB, but not anything else besides that. Additionally, the support of the managed plans are also handled by Rocket.net people instead of Hosting.com staff. I feel like the Rocket.net support is weaker, just based on my first initial impressions. Maybe they are the same teams, I don't know exactly, but let's give them another chance. My website is showing up as not secure, a super simple problem to fix, but again, I don't have a control panel. Since this is a managed plan, I can't troubleshoot this myself. So I have to contact the support to resolve this. I explained my problem, and they just ended the chat after 10 minutes of me waiting without doing anything. The problem is still not fixed, but the support ticket is resolved. Compare this to the support I received for my Pro plan from Hosting.com support. I had trouble activating Redis. Not only did the support agent solve the issue in a couple of minutes, but they also told me how I can resolve it myself in the future. So depending on the services you buy, it's like two different companies with wildly different support, performance, and pricing. I'm doing a Hosting.com review, but I'm also forced to mention Rocket.net, a completely separate web hosting company, just because they control half of the services that are being offered here. In my opinion, Hosting.com at its core did not suffer enshittification just yet, because shared and unmanaged plans got better. It's still a very solid recommendation from me. But at the same time, everything that Rocket.net touched got more expensive, slower, and less helpful, because I still have a legacy managed WordPress run plan from A2 Hosting. Basically what it used to be before it turned into the Rocket.net managed version. I paid $11.99 for it, and it was $23.99 when it was time to renew the plan. Either way, cheaper than the $29.99 it is now. It still came with cPanel, not the Rocket.net dashboard. And yeah, it's straight up faster, even without setting up a CDN. Just the same template, Lightspeed Cache plus A2 Optimizer plugin. And it had a response time of 130 milliseconds with a total load time of 0.56 seconds. Much better than the Rocket.net version. It's weird having to praise one part of the service for getting better and then talking negatively about another when it's all part of the same brand. But that's just how it is, I guess, when basically three companies get merged into one, all sharing different support staffs and different server locations and different basically business ideology. Even the control panel for shared hosting and unmanaged plans is radically different from the managed plan dashboard. And quite honestly, the managed plan dashboard isn't all that helpful. It's pretty to look at, but you can't do anything here. Like even adding a domain name is such a pain having to work through all of these different records. And I much rather have cPanel plus the default hosting.com dashboard over this. And not to beat a dead horse here, but Cloudways and Scala Hosting offer a better priced and more beginner-friendly managed solution than the hosting.com managed WordPress plan, or let's be honest, the Rocket.net plans. But the shared web hosting plans from hosting.com, they're great value, and that's what I recommend you buy, especially since they're so cheap before renewal. You can literally pick up a great plan for $24 for 1 year, and this comes with a domain name. Like a .com name alone is around $15 in most cases. So paying $24 for a domain name and web hosting is like you're getting the hosting for $10, which is a really solid deal. Anyways, this was my look at the new A2 hosting, or hosting.com. You can find more in-depth reviews of other providers on my channel. And if you have no idea what to buy, here's my buyer's guide for 2026 that will help you choose the best plan no matter your project size or skill level. So essentially, you'll never get scammed and regret your purchases. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you around.